The Little Prince, Chapter 8. I soon learned to know this flower better. There had always been very simple flowers on the Little Prince planet, in the twinkling of a feather, occupying very little space and no trouble to anybody. They would appear one morning in the grass and fade away in the evening. But one day, from a seed blown from no one knew where, a new flower had come up, and the little prince had watched very closely over the small shoot, which was not all like any of the other shoots on his planet. It could have been a new kind of baobab, but the plant soon stopped growing and started to develop a flower. The little prince, watching the growth of the enormous bud, sensed that this could well lead to a miraculous apparition. But the flower continued her preparations for her beauty in the shelter of her green chamber. She chose her colors with great care. She dressed slowly, carefully arranging her feathers one by one. She didn't wish to appear all crumpled like a poppy. She only wished to appear in the full glory of her beauty. Oh yes, she was very vain. Her mysterious preparations had lasted 4 days and days, and then one morning, when the sun was rising, she suddenly showed herself. And having worked so hard and taken such care, she yawned and said, I'm only half awake. Forgive me, I'm still quite disturbed. But the little prince couldn't restrain his admiration and exclaimed, Oh, how beautiful you are! Am I not? The flower replied gently, and I was born at the same time as the sun. The little prince had to admit that she was not excessively modest, but she was so enchanting. I believe it's time for breakfast, she added a moment later. Would you be kind enough to attend to my needs? And the little prince, totally abashed, at once fetched a can of fresh water and sprinkled the flower. Thus it was that she began from the outset to torment him with her demanding vanity. One day, for example, referring to her fortune, she said to the little prince, Let them come, those tigers with their claws. But there are no tigers on my planet, objected the little prince. And anyway, tigers don't eat weeds. But I'm not a weed, the flower replied swiftly. Please forgive me. I am not afraid of tigers, but I hate drought. You wouldn't have a scream for me, by any chance? The horror of drought. That's really bad luck for a plant, remarked the little prince, thinking to himself, the flower is indeed a very complex creature. In the evening, I want you to put me under a grass dome. It's very cold here where you live, and rather uncomfortable. Now, where I come from, too late, she interrupted herself. She had arrived as a seed. She could not have known anything about other worlds. Embarrassed at having been discovered preparing such a naive lie, she coughed a couple of times so as to confuse The Little Prince. What is the screen? It was going to patchy, but you were talking to me. Thereupon, then she coughed a little more, so that he should feel remorse. So the little prince, in spite of the goodwill his love engendered toward her, came gradually to doubt her. He had taken words of no importance seriously and became very unhappy. I shouldn't have listened to her, she confided to me one day. One should never listen to flowers. One must admire them and breathe their fragrance. Mine perfumed all my planet, but I did not know how to enjoy her. The tale of clothes which irritated me so much, it would simply have touched my heart. And he confided further. At the time, I was unable to understand anything. I should have based my judgment upon deed and not word. She cast her fragrance and her radiance over me. I should never have run away from her. I should have guessed at the affection behind her for little tricks. Flowers are so inconsistent, but I was too young to know how to love her. Chapter 9. I suspect that for his escape, he took advantage of the migration of wild birds. On the morning of his departure, he put his planet of perfect order. He carefully swept his active volcanoes. He possessed 2 active volcanoes, and they were very convenient for heating his breakfast in the morning. He also had a volcano which was extinct, but as he pointed out, you never know. So he also cleaned out the extinct volcano. If they were properly swept, volcanoes burn gently and regularly, without any eruptions. Volcanic eruptions are like chimney fire. On Earth, of course, we are far too small to sweep our volcanoes. That's why they cause us so much trouble. The little prince tore up, not without a sense of sorrow, the last little baobab shoot. He believed that he would never have to return, but all these familiar activities seemed very precious to him on the last morning. And when he watered the flower for the last time and prepared to place her under her glass dome, she felt like crying. "Goodbye," he said to the flower. But she did not answer him. "Goodbye," he said again. The flower coughed, but it was not because she had a cold. "I've been silly," she whispered at last. "Please forgive me. Try to be happy." He was surprised by the absence of reproach. He just stood there, quite bewildered, with the dome poised in midair. He did not understand his quiet sweetness. "Of course, I love you," the flower said to him. "If you were not aware of it, it was my fault." "That is not important, but you have been just as foolish. Try to be happy. Leave that dome alone. I don't want it any longer. But the wind, my cold is not that bad. The cool night air will do me good. I am a flower. But what about the animals? I shall have to put up with a few caterpillars if I want to see butterflies. I understand they are very beautiful. Otherwise, who will ever call for me?" You will be far away. As to large animals, I am not afraid of them. I have my clothes, and as naive as ever, she showed her 4 sons. Then she added, "Don't hang about so, it's irritating. You have decided to leave, so leave." For she didn't want him to see her cry. She was a very proud flower.